Hello YouTube, this is the Troll King, and a new type of video that I want to start doing a lot more of. I'm going to start doing some album reviews. I want this channel to kind of do a lot of things. Obviously, you've seen the bodybuilding and the vlog style and a lot of cooking, and that's going to continue. But probably the most important thing in the world to me is music, specifically of the metallic variety. So I just want to start. Now, granted, a couple of the ones I'm going to do up front, I obviously didn't have a YouTube at the time. This album here, Elder, Omens, which I just got an Armageddon shot. COVID was kind of holding things up. Came out April 24th. So obviously it's not a brand new release, but I didn't have a channel at the time, and I just kind of wanted to figure out how I wanted to do this format. I watched a lot of album reviews online to see. I watch a lot of Banger TV where they have the actual clips of the songs and whatnot, and I don't know what the entanglements of that are, but I've seen a lot of other album reviews where they don't have that. So there won't be any clips of songs in these for a while until I can figure that kind of stuff out. But I just wanted to go ahead and get started. Elder, a band that I love quite a bit. I found them through the same way I found a lot of bands, honestly, recently in the past couple of years, on a YouTube video related search. You know, you're listening to one thing, and on the right, it's got a bunch of different stuff. I want to say, excuse me, I believe I was listening to Weed Pecker, another amazing band, just kind of that, obviously, stonery variety, and Lore, 2015's Lore, was one of the related videos, and so it was the whole album. So I clicked on it and was just blown away. I mean, I was just blown away. It was very, because of the song lengths, there's obviously a big temptation to call them prog, which I don't necessarily agree with, but it has the same almost spirit as a prog. What I would really say is it's like, especially with when we get into this, I almost get more of like a Gabriel era Genesis vibe off of Elder with the way they do things, which is to say it's adventurous and it goes through a lot of different moods and textures and atmospheres, but I don't know that I'd necessarily call it prog, certainly in the way of like a Yes or a King Crimson or things like that. But anyways, that I discovered them with Lore. There are a couple before that. They're self-titled, and then 2011's Dead Roots Stirring. They definitely had a pretty heavy stoner rock, heavy, almost stoner metal kind of feel, like maybe like a slightly more up-tempo Sleep, things like that. Obviously, the Sabbath influence is inescapable in any kind of the stoner genres. But with Lore, they definitely, like I said, started to go off in that kind of, it's almost like an exaggerated stoner art rock, art metal kind of vibe. And then, so that was 2015. Lore was good. Lore was amazing, actually. But it definitely, production-wise, you could hear they needed to stretch out a little more, which I mean, I've read in interviews. I mean, they knew that. So then 2017's Reflections of a Floating World was amazing. Took it to a different extent, added a lot more synth, added a kind of ethereal quality to the songwriting in general. Just can't say enough good things about Reflections of a Floating World. And then, I guess this is the first full length they've done since then. In 2019, they put out an EP called the Gold and Silver Sessions, which is stripped of all metallic seasonings in any way, but still very, very amazing. Very much a mood music to listen to. But anyways, so Elder, Omens, April 24th, came out this year. I've been listening to it digitally, just waiting on the vinyl to get here. And so I finally got it, and I just, with bands like this, I recommend either vinyl or CD. Just sometimes, mainly what you want is just great speakers. And when things get compressed into digital format, there's just always going to be a little bit something that's lost. In this, especially with this one, I've heard a lot of people say, well, they're abandoning a lot more of their metal, they're going a little more prog. Like, to be perfectly honest, ever since Dead Roots Stirring, I don't think you've ever been able to fully, faithfully call Elder a metal band. They're really more of a rock band that they have very bombastic, bordering on metallic parts, especially riffs. Lore had a lot of that. Reflections had a good bit of heaviness, but the mixing was not weird, but the mixing just kind of made the synth sound more prevalent, which made the resulting music sound a little less heavy. But with this one, if I had to describe this best to a fan who liked Elder, I would say it's got the chest hair that Lore had. It's got, the vocals are not ethereal in any way. They're very, very kind of gruff vocals, and the riffs are a little heavier. It's a lot more of a guitar-driven record, but the synth from Reflections of a Floating World, just settled back a little more into the mix so everything can kind of breathe. And the vocals are higher in the mix than they've ever been on an Elder release. And honestly, it's amazing. They play that same game with just textures and atmospheres. Like whenever you hear a band that, like a prog, like a Yes, the songs are long and there's all these different things. And with Elder, I guess part of the stonery type roots is there's always something going on, but when they have long extended parts, it's not necessarily like, hey, look how great we can play our instruments. It's just it builds this atmosphere and like a soundscape. Like really it's like looking out across a field or something when you listen to an Elder song. And when they have those parts with the guitars get a little more subdued, then when it gets heavier, that's what makes it sound so bombastic and so heavy. Right from the start with the title track, Omens, it follows in line with their past couple efforts. Compendium and Sanctuary were just monster opening tracks, and this one is no different at all. You can tell the synth plays a different part, and that's right from the start. You can tell, okay, the vocals are a little higher. And honestly, what I would say is my favorite new development in Elder's sound. I've always loved Jack Donovan on bass, but with this, they've just found this perfect way to produce the bass in their albums. It sounds so warm, and even with two guitars, doing a lot of dual guitar harmonies, and it being a guitar-driven record, you can just hear this bass come through, and it, like I said, it's just so warm. It's like a sleeping bag coming into your ears. It's so amazing. Speaking of the guitars, they do a lot more. It was present on Reflections, but since Lore, I've missed a lot of that kind of dual guitar kind of sound, and there's a lot of it in here. The riffs are they play with each other. The harmonies go really well together, and the leads are amazing. Drumming, top notch as always. I think what I like the most about this is it's got the chest hair of like a Lore, but it's produced the way you would have wanted Lore to be produced. Where everything's up front. There's no compression. There's nothing sounding just a little bit off. Like maybe it's, it sounds great, but then when you put like a little bit of a wall in front of it, like that's what you're getting in your ears. It's just it's open and it's clean, but it sacrifices none of the vibe and none of that. It's great. It's an amazing album. Standout tracks to me would be Omens, the self-titled track. Halcyon is amazing, and possibly my favorite Elder song in general is One Light Retreating, the last song on it. That one definitely kind of challenges this thing that people have been talking about where it's, it's not heavy anymore and they're playing too much with like psychedelic type things. There's a little bit of psychedelia on there, certainly not, if you listen to the Gold and Silver sessions, this is not the album that you would have expected them to make next. Gold and Silver sessions played a lot with the different soundscapes and just was not very heavy. And this goes back to, it is the perfect marriage. If Lore and Reflections of a Floating World got together and made a kid that sounded better, like just that sonically sounded better, it would be Omens. So if you like those albums, you're gonna love this, and you should love Gold and Silver sessions too because it's fucking amazing. It's just not a heavy record, which is totally fine. But so I don't really have like a type of ranking that's unique to my channel. Maybe I should develop one and get it. But if I had to give it stars out of 5, I'd say 5. I'll be 100% honest with you. I can't poke holes in this album. It's just perfect to me. I love it. I'm not disappointed at all. I'm happy I have the vinyl. Got the gray and blue little splatter vinyl. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, so this is the first of this type of video on my channel. There's going to be a lot more to come. You'll probably be inundated with album reviews. So just, if you like it, let me know. If you don't, I guess let me know. Let me know what I can be doing better. But anyways, have a good one, guys.